Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by SeatGeek. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick. We got another camp update podcast. So we have Shaun Morash of WFAN, their new midday show, on for about 20 to 22 minutes, and Tommy Lugauer. How about that? So we got two of those guys from that show. I want to do a little bit of looking ahead to the Detroit joint practices that we will be at. I want to 9 practices in. We just need to talk about Daniel Jones in the offense, nickel corner, but we'll start with Evan Neal. Justin, first, this episode is brought to you by some special people. How are you?
I'm good. Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just
You're excited.
I just want to let people know we got a lot to get to.
Got a lot to get to.
We also have to get to our Patreon people. So, before we get into it, it has been so much fun to do these training camp things, get to talk with everybody, meet people. Like it's people were like, oh, I hope I'm not bothering. It's like, no, man, it's really nice to talk to people and meet people that listen. Like, it's cool to put like names, faces to names, and just be like, hey, there is people that actually listen and like us. So, first, this episode is brought to you. I'm sure we've met some of these people. John Ballard, Jake Ballard's brother. James Kelleher. I wonder if he knows Rich Kelleher. Trey McCray, which reminds me of Trace McGrady. SS Super Dario. And Kevin Jordan reminds me of
Michael.
Brevin Jordan, the tight end out of Miami that we talked about at the draft.
Who would you...
Justin, who are these people?
I recorded you the other day.
Who are these people, Justin?
Sneezing in the Manhattan office. And
who are these people?
I may or may not release it.
No. I already said the last episode of Talking Giants, when it's like...
The last?
You know, like Mike and Mike, they split up after 15 years. We do that.
Is that what we're going to do in 15 years?
Yeah, and I'm just going to I'm going to sneeze on that show.
Who's going to split up with who?
That's how... At some point, every radio duo split. Mike and the Mad Dog, Mike and... At some point, every radio duo splits up. So at some point, we will.
John Ballard's in the chat, and John Ballard is already taking advantage of being in here while we're recording the shows on a little bit of a Saturday night. Giants have off on Sunday, so we decided to record on Saturday night. John Ballard taking advantage of the perks of you get to hang out with us live while we record the shows. Bobby Skinner will send you some stickers in the mail when he's back in Florida. And there's a couple shirt raffles 2 times a month. Patreon.com/TalkingGiants. Thanks to our patrons.
Evan Neal left practice on Friday with the concussion.
Weird because they wear those things on their heads.
Yeah, and you told me today that
they're heavy.
They are heavy. So I thought they might be like these light little like cotton things. They are definitely not. So disappointing. One, because I really wanted to see Evan Neal in Detroit, and I think if there's anyone who needs preseason game reps this year, it is Evan Neal. I would expect him to not even travel to Detroit and not play the preseason game. Hopefully good for the second preseason game. Obviously, you don't want to see anyone get concussion, but at least it's not something that should be lingering into the season, you know, whether it's like, you know, the shoulder injury he had last year or anything with his legs. We don't want to see that. But it's led to us knowing who the swing tackle was. And it's crazy, Justin, because I was talking with Rich and Ed of Big Blue Huddle, and we were talking that practice about Matt Peart is playing pretty well. And
obviously playing better than Tyree Phillips. And
Tyree Phillips, who's having maybe the worst camp out of anybody out here, you know, at least someone that's, you know, we think is part of, you know, the top 40 guys on the roster or whatever, is having a really bad camp. And Matt Peart's looking better in that swing tackle job. He's going to take, I think he should take it now, which going into camp, I was in the Tyree Phillips boat. And then lo and behold, well, now we're in that situation. Matt Peart comes in. Matt Peart does look better, and I want to talk about just Neal in a second, about his development. Matt Peart definitely looks better, but he's like Matt Peart dominates O'Shane Ximines, and he should, and he's moving well. He's obviously got the athleticism and the size to play in the NFL, where O'Shane Ximines makes guys like Tyree Phillips look silly. Peart does the opposite. Now, we saw a full day of team drills, and Kayvon got him a few times, but he doesn't look like totally outmatched out there, which would be a good sign. You know, it's year 4 of Matt Peart. We know Peart has all the ability in the world, but hopefully he can turn into a solid swing tackle.
Yeah, contract year for Matt Peart too, which is underrated storyline heading into the Giants season. Hopefully it continues to be an underrated storyline and Evan Neal gets healthy and we never have to talk about it again. But swing tackle, Matt Peart's clearly winning it right now. Matt Peart did all right against Kayvon Thibodeau. I guess I missed some plays where Kayvon Thibodeau had some good reps on Saturday against Matt Peart, but the reps that I saw, Matt Peart was like holding his own, and he looks balanced, he looks fast, he looks quick. His hands look like they're in a good spot. So Matt Peart for swing tackle, and he's looking all right in Evan Neal's absence.
I want to talk about Kayvon and Evan Neal all in one. Because Kayvon in a one-on-one beat Matt Peart really well going outside in, and then in team drills beat him clean a few times. Like I said, wasn't out there dominating Matt Peart down in, down out like if Tyree Phillips was out there, but he did get some, Kayvon Thibodeau had his best practice, and it was against Matt Peart, which is kind of a backhanded compliment about Kayvon. And if there's Kayvon is someone I'm really watching Detroit. I want to see Kayvon work the corner. And work, use your power to the corner, because he's kind of only being able to win when he's going outside in,
and he's only done outside to inside stuff. So,
which is that's good that you can do that, but eventually you want to work around the corner. But it also gave me a little more confidence in Evan Neal that Evan Neal has some bad one-on-one reps, but they are not what Kayvon was able to do to Matt Peart in that one-on-one. And they're not like quick initial losses, which we saw last year, which was encouraging. But in team, Evan Neal is kind of letting these guys you're not going to work the inside against me. Hey, you might be able to get around the corner, but you're going to get around at 8 yards or so. And Andrew Thomas actually did a video with Sean O'Hara that came out on the Giants YouTube page where he talked about getting to that third step, and it's first you're getting to your first and second step, and you're kind of seeing what that pass rusher is doing, and you're you're analyzing what that guy's doing and seeing what he's trying to do, and then cutting off what that thing that he's trying to do. So Thomas said, well, in a game, it doesn't look like we're kind of freezing and stopping right there. I am, and I'm making that player commit to either go through me or around me or whichever way the pass rusher is working.
Which a lot of times you talk about getting to that third step versus it was interesting to hear how Andrew Thomas was talking about how the big decision marker comes at what the rest of the play is going to look like after that second step.
Yeah, where it's and we've kind of seen it with Neal, because we see it one-on-ones are more pass rush heavy, but you see Neal bap, bap, and if they throw a little move, it kind of freezes him a little bit. So if they counter off that move, that's where we've seen Evan Neal have a bad rep here or there in one-on-ones. But in team drills, it's the bad reps by Neal are almost always guys working around the corner at 8 yards, which isn't it's not a bad rep, but it's also not a great dominant rep. But once we see Evan Neal connected with the guys, so I'm kind of in between on Evan Neal. Where
what that tells me is this is a dude that still needs to get comfortable with the things that he worked on and improved on over the offseason, which is fine, which is why it sucks that he got the concussion, because more reps is better, and especially now that we're going to go to Detroit, it sucks that he's going to miss that, because more reps against different guys would also make him better as well. We've seen, I am going to use the word dramatic improvement from last season to this training camp. And I'm not going to use the word dramatic as in Evan Neal is an elite tackle now, but it's dramatic in terms that Evan Neal was a turnstile and one of the worst tackles in football last year. This year, he's looking like he's going to be okay as of right now. But that when he freezes like that is just telling me, we got to get you with more reps. We got to get you out there with more practice.
He's got to get more comfortable with, like you said, doing the new things that he's doing. And obviously, he's got the athleticism, and you're seeing him flash that. So, but I am we do see real improvement over Evan Neal. It's a different player. Where last year he was getting embarrassed in camp, and he got embarrassed by Kayvon Thibodeau too. And it almost looked, every one-on-one rep of Evan Neal last year versus Kayvon or Aziz was pretty damn bad. And then on team drills, how many times do we see, Kayvon? Last year Kayvon had a better camp because he got to go against last year's version of Evan Neal.
Yeah.
So there is clear improvements. Now, I just have high standards for Evan Neal, where I do want to see him become a great right tackle. And maybe that happens by the end of the year, or it's a next year thing, and this year he's a solid right tackle. But right now what I'm seeing is a solid right tackle and not a really good one, and I have higher expectations for him. So I think there is going to be ups and downs. But yeah, there's very clear improvement out of Evan Neal. He's a better player. He seems like a more calm player. I'm glad that there's no shoulder or knee injury that he's got to deal with.
Hopefully concussion doesn't linger.
But he needs to get preseason live action reps where your quarterback can get hit too. Like there was one rep it was like a few days ago where Aziz got to that inside shoulder, and if the quarterback wasn't right there, he may have turned him around and got a sack on that. But he had to pull up. So, and that's another difficulty with tackles in camp is like they can't totally finish these reps unless they just get clean, quick initial wins, which to Evan Neal's credit, they're not doing.
Right.
So I don't want last year's bad Evan Neal to lower my expectations for him long term. I said this on the live stream the other day. I want Justin the best tackle duo in the NFL. Like when we drafted Evan Neal, that's what I envisioned was having the best tackle duo in the NFL. And I'm not going to go away from that expectation out of Evan Neal. He's a really good prospect, and I'm excited to see him this year. It just sucks that we don't get to see him in Detroit this week, most likely, unless he's is ready to go and we do a pull Yankees on him.
Pull Yankees, huh? Let's not pull Yankees. Can we talk about Jalin Hyatt?
Well, let's talk about just Daniel Jones.
Yes.
Because I think we've talked about the receiving game, and let's just talk about now that we've been through 9 practices, all against our own team. Daniel Jones is just flat out really freaking good through these practices.
Yeah, give me some numbers.
Like he's completed 78% of his passes in training camp, and it's not just completing, like having a high completion percentage. It's different than last year where this guy is attacking all 3 levels of the field. And we have that alpha in Darren Waller, who's gotten the most catches from him. And, that's a guy who wins at every level of the field, deep, intermediate, and short. But also he's always been a guy that spread the ball around fairly well, and he's spreading it well around to Slayton, Paris Campbell, Jalin Hyatt here and there when he's getting those first team reps for the big plays. But he's getting Slayton's had big plays from DJ, Hyatt's had them, Campbell's had them, and they've also all hit, Campbell is more short or deep with them, but Slayton, deep, mid, intermediate, short, has done all 3 of those things. Jalin Hyatt's kind of been deep or bust with them. And then Isaiah Hodgins, who's kind of been the guy who's not had the greatest camp, is working the quick game, but they've even tried it downfield to him for a couple contested back shoulder stuff. Hodgins just wasn't able to bring them down. So he is spreading the ball around. He has command of this offense. And I think back to year 2 of Jason Garrett and those first 5 games before Andrew Thomas, or first 4 games before Andrew Thomas got hurt, that within that stupid Jason Garrett offense with
awesome.
Not great talent around him, he was balling through 4 games, despite the fact that the Giants were 1-3, and it wasn't just us Giants fans as homers being overexcited.
Kurt Warner was making videos.
I remember all around the league being like, Daniel Jones is kind of balling right now, and obviously the Saints game and winning NFC Player of the Week kind of put that more out in front of everyone because they finally won a game. But so I think about Daniel Jones having a command of year 2 of the offense, and I went back and looked at Daniel Jones training camp tweets before this and just how I charted, and I'm like, man, remember this one, Justin? 5 of 18 today. 5 of 18. That's
2 interceptions.
Almost every one. 2 interceptions this day. Good day, only 1 interception. This week, this time, no interceptions in these. He had 24 incompletions. He had, like I said, had 13 in one practice last year. It's been good to see out of him. He's taking care of the ball while attacking all 3 levels of the field. He has command of this offense. Today on Saturday night, we saw a scrimmage where they were calling sacks dead. Just flat out, if you think this is a sacks dead, where they would get pressure and he's getting out of the pocket. He's knowing when to escape the pocket. He's not just sitting in there and being like, well, they can't sack me. I can sit in here and throw the ball. So he's got just a really good feel of the offense right now. I'm very excited to see it in Detroit against a different team that is not his teammates, not his friends.
Different defensive looks.
Yeah, different looks. But he's got command of this offense right now, and he's kind of think of here's the catches. Darren Waller 19, Saquon Barkley 15. Some of that has been design stuff, but most of it's been checkdowns. So he's been able to get to the checkdowns when it matters. Darius Slayton, 14, who's having a really good camp versus Dory Jackson. Paris Campbell, 12, and a lot of that quick game stuff and a couple deep ones.
Paris Campbell missed some days, or missed 1 day too. So
yeah, Isaiah Hodgins, 8. Daniel Bellinger, 6. Every time the ball's from the Bellinger, it's a completion. Cole Beasley got 3 on Saturday on a couple on 3rd downs on those option routes. So it's okay, there's some connection growing there. Jalin Hyatt, 4. Most of those have been deep plays. Been targeted a few times in 7-on-7s as well. well. Sterling Shepard 2, and then like 9 guys with 1. Like all the running backs have 1. Jeff Smith, rest in peace, has 1. Jameson Crowder, Colin Johnson, and Lawrence Cager all have 1.
I mean, you mentioned at the top that Jones is doing a good job of spreading the ball, and he's always done a good job of spreading the ball. But I think this camp has mainly taught like the off-season prep of the real off-season. Like it's still the off-season now, but the off-season prep of taking these guys out to Arizona. And he's even Cole Beasley just came here right before camp, and you see the work that Daniel Jones and Cole Beasley have put on with each other after practice. Daniel Jones has a very, very good understanding of when and how to target each of his weapons right now. You're seeing it with Waller, the early connection that he had with Waller from day one of camp. And it was even cool on Saturday to see Waller have how many catches do you have on Saturday? 4, which, hey, that's awesome too. Finally getting him back as like that number 1 target during what was a scrimmage day. Paris Campbell, he signed in free agency. We saw that he was out there with Arizona and constantly communicating with Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones has been throwing the ball to Darius Slayton since 2019. Him and Hodgins have always had a good connection. So he understands like the strengths and the weaknesses of these receivers and how and when to throw the ball to these guys, because now that there's options, right? There's options, and each of these receivers can do something different from the other. Daniel Jones is really, really utilizing it, and as per the 80% completion rate, he's kind of choosing it to do it right.
Yeah, so this is, no interceptions while being able to, they're not like slinging it downfield like crazy, but you can tell there's more of a concerted effort.
Whereas last year they tried to do this. It's not even like last year's training camp was the offense that we saw against the Colts and against the Vikings and against some of those teams in the latter part of the year. It wasn't even the offense that we saw like in week 6 and week 7 where they were it was very, very run heavy. We've talked about it time and time again. They tried over camp last year, and then weeks 1, 2, and 3 before Shep went down with that injury. They tried to really push the ball downfield. They tried to run the offense that they're running right now in camp, and they could not do it for a multitude of reasons. Born of it being Evan Neal, wide receivers, maybe Daniel Jones wasn't comfortable. It all seems like those things are lining up pretty well right now. It's camp. We'll see how we look. We'll see how we look against Detroit. Let's
talk some negative on the defensive side. And I want to talk about the nickel corner position, because there was about 4 or 5 days ago where Darnay Holmes is getting third string reps, and it was like, okay, they gave him a shot.
Cordell Flott.
He's probably going to be cut.
Yeah.
Cordell Flott hasn't gotten a first-team rep in over 3 practices, and it's been only when they do the Trey Hawkins on the outside and the Dory in the slot. And Trey Hawkins is continued just since like the last pod has only been with the first team. And Darnay Holmes has been with the first team the last 3 practices and starting with them. And don't make a YouTube short out of this. I am speculating, but I'm trying to think of how this makes sense, that this went from a competition back and forth to Cordell Flott not getting any first team reps. Not any. And it's not like Darnay Holmes came out. If Darnay Holmes came out here and was winning this job and doing really well, then okay.
No, he's been the worst defensive player.
But yeah, he's been really bad. And Flott hasn't been much better. And I'm just trying to make sense of it. Yeah. Like, what is going on with Flott? Like, are they not in love with the way Flott goes about his process in the film? Like, what is going on with Cordell Flott? Because we know how we've seen a pattern of Wink, like guys can kind of get in the doghouse. I'm speculating. I'm just trying to figure it out.
Because Darnay Holmes at his worst is worse than Cordell Flott at his worst, in my opinion.
And Cordell Flott is the one you drafted. Like, he's, fits your scheme better. And it's not like we're going to they just view Cordell Flott as an outside corner more, because he's not getting any outside corner reps. He is solely getting backup nickel corner reps with the second team. Like, I don't think he's gotten a single outside corner rep and throughout this training camp. So it's not like they're going back to we just view him more opposite on the outside. So I'm just in a spot where, and again, I'm not, this isn't me banging on the table like Cordell Flott is the deserved starter. He's good. It's not me being like Ben Bredesen.
Yeah.
Ben Bredesen deserves to start on this team.
Yes, he does.
And it'll be bullshit if he doesn't. And I don't care if it's even Glowinski at right guard and Bredesen at left guard, because they're not. But Bredesen's the best interior offensive lineman. He should be starting. If he's not starting week 1, I'll be mad about this. So it's not this with Flott, because Flott's struggling too. But it's like, what is going on to where the guy they drafted to fit their scheme is not starting over the guy with the contract that has no dead money and the escalators in it, who's also really bad. What is going on with this?
Yeah.
Where it's not like it'd be one thing if they were going back and forth every day like they did the first 4 practices. They have went where Flott has not gotten a first team rep since early last week.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on. It's like nickel corner and the interior offensive line. It's frustrating from the standpoint of we just don't have clarity on the positions right now. Even like, I'll just go with the interior offensive line for a sec. On Saturday, like Ben Bredesen was the starting center. And it's like, well, we had 4 days in a row where John Michael Schmitz was the starting center. Why are we alternating? And again, that's not me questioning the coaching staff and saying they're making the bad decision, the wrong decision. It's just being frustrated as a fan. Like, I want to know what's going on. And probably even more so because there's a little bit more good competition happening with the interior offensive line versus slot corner. It's like bad competition because Darnay Holmes genuinely has looked worse than Cordell Flott, but Cordell Flott also doesn't look great.
Yeah, so it's.
Do we honestly think last year Fabian Moreau came in, started as an outside corner? Nick McLeod was signed here.
You would think McLeod would get a first team rep here or there too,
and he hasn't. Do we think that there's a shot that the starting slot corner, or at least a corner that can play in the slot, and he's going to get situational reps here and there, is not on the team right now?
Yeah.
Could happen.
Yeah. Because, again, slot corner is not about being the best athlete. A lot of it's just understanding the position. And sometimes vets like that get let go. So, yeah, I can absolutely see that happening. Anything else? I know we want to look ahead to Detroit before the interview that you have.
No, yeah, I guess that interior conversation was the only thing I wanted to touch on. Where after we recorded our pod earlier in the week, we were talking about, I think on that pod we were talking about how, hey, I think Glowinski sat for a day, and Ben Bredesen at right guard. Can that be a shot? Because really, my ideal lineup is Josh Ezeudu left guard, Ben Bredesen right guard, and then John Michael Schmitz at center. And the last couple of days, they've gone back to Mark Glowinski, and it's like, damn, well, maybe Ezeudu's not ready. So let's see Ben Bredesen at left guard. And I'm all right if Ezeudu's not ready, but let's just get the best guys out there. And they're still doing this cross-training stuff. I want clarity on what's going on with the interior offensive line.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see that in Detroit because you're going up against other teams'
I hope so.
Players, and I think they're just going to want to put their best out there. Mm-hmm. So I think Detroit will give us a little clarity on that.
Yep.
All right, before we get into the interview, the Giants signed D. Jeter out of Michigan and waived Jeff Smith. So they waived the guy with the most boring name on the team in Jeff Smith and signed someone who I said in 2020, I want him on the team just because of his name. I want a D. Jeter out of Michigan, Donovan Jeter, the defensive tackle.
Just a kid from Michigan. Just a kid from Michigan with the name D. Jeter.
We were doing Derek Jeter chants in the crowd today out
in New York.
It's good to see. I hope he makes the
makes
practice squad. And now they could do new numbers. Like, can he just be number 2?
We'll love that.
Number 2 is not retired. I don't think we have a number 2 on the team, do we?
No, we don't. Whoa, number 2 may be retired.
No, because
Aldrich
Rosas.
Tyrod Taylor's number 2 right now, isn't he?
No, he's number 5.
Oh, bad guy. Justin doesn't know Tyrod.
Actually, no, he's not. Tyrod Taylor is number 2. I'm an idiot.
Good job.
Tavon's number 5.
Good job. Good job, me.
Why don't you talk to us about something?
I'll talk to you about something. I'll talk to you about the DraftKings Sportsbook. New customers download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code WORLD. Bet just $5 to score $150 in bonus bets instantly. That's code WORLD only at DraftKings Sportsbook. Shaun Morash said he put $5,000 on the Giants winning 11 games this year.
Bet responsibly.
Bet responsibly. Don't actually, no. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Massachusetts, call 800-32-75050. Visit Line, ma.org. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Kansas, call 1-800-522-4700. On behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort in West Virginia, gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.1800gambler.net. All games regulated by the West Virginia Lottery. Please play responsibly in partnership with Hollywood Casino and Charlestown Races in Connecticut. Help us available for problem gambling. Call 888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org. 21 plus in most eligible states, but age varies by jurisdiction. See draftkings.com/sport for details and state-specific responsible gambling resources. Bonus bets expire 7 days after issuance. 1 boost per eligible game. Opt-in required. Max bet $50. 10 plus leg requirement for 100% boost. Eligibility, wagering, and deposit restrictions apply. Draft terms at sportsbook.draftkings.com/baseball terms. And speeding. Shoot me with that gun.
That's powerful. Woo! Oh my God. All right, and here's Shaun Morash of WFAN. All right, we welcome on to the program. New title now. Host of the What actually is the title of it?
I'm a host on the Evan and Tiki show, but I'm not Evan or Tiki.
The board operator on the Evan and Tiki show, Shaun Morash. What's going on, dude?
What's up, bro?
How's the new gig?
Everything's going really well, I think, so far. As long as you stay out of the Instagram comments where, a lot of fat shaming's occurred, but everything else is good.
Yeah, you're
been there.
Yeah, we're all used to that. But
of course.
And I've gotten to listen because I've been in New York for your first couple of weeks, so it's been nice. It's been nice to hear you. Your first practice that you got to attend.
Yes.
What did you think?
Well, first of all, what's jarring still about the table era is how less intense practice is. Like, they call it country club, but it is basically country club compared to past training camps. But the offense is popping, man. It's, you ain't got no haters, you ain't popping, as Robert Saleh said. The offense is popping. It's noticeably different than last year. Even not just the plays, the energy. The energy that Daniel Jones is bringing with these receivers. So I am really giddy about the offense just after watching this practice.
We've been to 8 practices after today, and the offense has not had a really bad day. But here, and I know you were talking to some of the beat.
Yeah.
At what point, though, do we get worried that unless Wink is sending an exotic blitz, nobody on the defense is just, winning their matchups?
Because I'm there a little bit.
Well, I'm certainly there with the secondary. Even there was a couple of those plays today in the red zone, and whenever you're recording this, we're taping this on Friday. Even Xavier McKinney is getting kind of baked left and right by Saquon or
Bellinger,
by Waller. Bellinger, too, inside.
Darius Slayton has had a Dory Jackson number.
Yeah. Darius Slayton, that's one of my points from today, is Darius Slayton has, kind of owned a Dory Jackson in this game.
Which, again, we should all be... You're never going to be happy about everything, right? Because if the offense is totally humming, then that means the defense is playing well. And last year was all about the defense, and the offense didn't play well.
Yeah.
The offense was better last year than we gave it credit for. I think the thing that we have to remember is, unless Wink is bringing some kind of exotic blitz, well, newsflash, Wink is going to bring a lot of exotic blitzes.
Over 50%.
So that's another right. It's another reason I'm not that concerned is that Wink knows the strengths and knows to play with it. And, oh, by the way, Azeez got a rest day today. Leonard Williams a couple straight days out. I mean, the defense still feels like a guy is out of the loop every single practice. When you see that defense all come together in real games with exotic blitzes, I don't think it'll be the 85 Bears, but I think the defense will look a lot better than we've seen.
Yeah.
But on the opposite, offense is just more important in the NFL.
For sure.
Especially for a team that's in where the Giants' range is right now. Defense does win championships.
Or at least
a true thing, but
the improvements in the offense, I think, are more important.
Yeah, so that's the other thing. Is I am really encouraged for this offense coming out of camp. I don't think it's I don't think it's overreacting to be like, man, they are just really efficient. The worst Daniel Jones day was going 6 for 11.
Right.
And, and that happened with 3 deep passes that they just weren't able to bring down. Not bad decision making. And even today, in red zone, they went 6 for 9, 3 touchdowns. The incompletions were an Isaiah Hodgins drop and then a ball batted down at the line of scrimmage. And they had a defensive pass interference where Saquon beat Darren Beaver. So the offense is doing a lot of different things. They truly are able to spread the ball around, too, this year, which is pretty interesting with the receiving game. And even, Darren Waller was dominating the first 2 days. They're not having to target him. They're not targeting him as much. They are spreading it more to Slayton and Campbell and everyone else.
Although they made sure on both Banks and Hawkins today to make sure Waller ran right at him and see if they could handle them, too. But, I think they're pulling back because they know what they have in Darren Waller.
Yeah.
You don't have to overly expose that every single practice. There's no doubt about that. But, just look, the unique ways. We talked about this the last time I was on with you guys. We talked about Paris Campbell. Think about if Hyatt really gets cooking and Slayton keeps keeps cooking. It pulls back how much you needed of Paris Campbell. It's so unique what they're able to throw at you. It's so different than last year.
Yeah. And
what's that noise?
We parked right under a light, and that light is humming. Yeah.
Okay,
and that's what that is.
Well, it's a good sign for the offense. If the light is humming, the offense should be humming.
So we asked you when we had you on about a month ago, who do you think is going to lead the receivers in receiving? You said Paris Campbell. Are you still in on that? This is the question I've been asking everyone, so I'm phrasing it that way.
And for the record, I think it's two different answers to yards and catches.
Correct. Yeah, I would say.
So in what realm are we talking about? Do I think Paris Campbell leads the team in catches? I actually do. Yards, I don't. I've come around to Slayton on that because of the big plays, although I will hesitate in saying I am curious, and we didn't get a lot of it at Friday's practice, Jalin Hyatt, with all the buzz he's building. I am curious if it becomes a little redundant in the way they use Jalin Hyatt, if that starts to take away some of the Slayton, especially as the season progresses, and you hope that Hyatt gets stronger and better off the line. So I will say Slayton, but I am curious as to basically if Hyatt will tap into any of what they're using Slayton for.
Well, my overall hope is I hope that Slayton, I understand the theory, but I hope that Hyatt is adding on to like what Slayton does, because this team has been so bad, Shaun. You've been listening to us for years, and I've been bitching and moaning for years about the explosive plays.
Justin explosive plays, Pennick.
So I'm hoping that instead of Hyatt taken away from Slayton, I'm hoping that Hyatt can add to it. Because Slayton had 14 catches of 20+ yards last year. No other Giants receiver had more than 3 or 4. So it's aggravating.
It's not a bad thing to have Hyatt, Slayton, Darren Waller, Saquon, and then insert whoever, Cole Beasley or whatever as a safety blanket, or Bellinger on the field at the same time.
And you made that point a little earlier about the Giants offense. What they added this offseason is that they added to the areas of what was weak about their team.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
What they did last year is, even though they were average in points scored, they were last in explosive plays, but they were still kind of average, they were above average EPA and stuff like that. They were a really good running the ball team. It's not like they leaned more into their identity last year.
Sure.
They crafted their team to what they know will win sustainable football in the NFL.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Explosive plays. And, of course, once we see Shaun Robinson on the field attacking the run stopping, the D tackle, and the linebacker and everything, which, again, I think is going to be a bigger deal on defense, too.
I hope
so. Did you see that kid punch his brother?
Oh,
look, they're fighting for
Oh, my God, they're fighting.
By the way, at practice, I was El Jefe was next to a guy. Tyrod Taylor flipped that football. Did you see when that happened? And Dable went nuts. Tyrod Taylor scores a touchdown, hits the pylon, flips the football to a fan. He always does that. I've never seen a security team act so fast to get a football.
Oh yeah,
back. It's insane.
The Giants.
We were yelling. Don't throw it back. Keep it.
He got 1,000 footballs in, and now I understand you don't want everybody fighting for the footballs, but it was insane.
The Giants security team takes their job very seriously.
Yeah,
and I'm very proud of them.
Maybe some of them should play defense.
We're talking about the receiving room.
We are.
Jalin Hyatt said Offensive Rookie of the Year is his goal. One, I'm like,
WFA and eating that up.
Him saying that.
You kidding me? I'm with Tommy Lugauer's upside here. We can't wait to talk about this on Friday.
I was excited to honestly, I kind of like hearing him say that. Where I'm like, yeah, maybe Hyatt can be Offensive Rookie of the Year.
I understand he's not a first-round pick. Is it any different than some of the swagger from Kayvon Thibodeau last year when he was drafted? Remember that was a big thing.
Yeah,
wow, this guy's brash. He's got confidence.
Yeah.
Jalin Hyatt showing a little confidence. Now, I could tell you, we were at the Brian Dable press conference before practice on Friday. Dable, he's not happy with Jalin Hyatt saying that. You could totally see.
Yeah.
He was asked about it. He had this grimace look on his face. Basically said something to the effect of, well, why don't you ask him about that? And, Renan was the one that followed up and said, well, I'm asking you. And he had some kind of piggyback on that. But I don't think Dable likes the young guys chirping or talking, or at least bringing notice. It almost feels like the Giants want Jalin Hyatt to fly under the radar to catch, Dallas and whoever else in September by surprise. But newsflash, social media exists. Jalin Hyatt's a birder. I think him saying that we shoot for Offensive Rookie of the Year isn't going to catch anybody off guard. And I want him to feel like that.
Yeah.
Also, Amon-Ra St. Brown was one of these guys. Remember, he was drafted whatever round he was taken. And he had that Hard Knocks last year, and he had the swagger of he memorizes every receiver taken in front of him. I should have been that guy. Yep. Is that doing him any wrong, having that confidence? So I love that out of Jalin Hyatt.
That's actually a good question for Jalin Hyatt for the reporters next time you get him. Do you know the players that were drafted ahead of you? Because I bet he seems like the type of guy who's going to remember.
Guys take that serious.
Yeah.
on the defensive side? Do you I know you haven't been to all the practices and stuff like that, but do you have what do you expect or have any worries about Deonte Banks as a rookie?
So in talking to people today, there seems to be less worry about Deonte Banks from people covering the team than I think fans freaking out in the stands, which is good. I think you are going to see his speed used a lot on those corner blitzes, which I think helps. You don't have to send Adoree as much and leave him back in coverage, and I think that'll actually be a strength.
Yeah.
Look, rookie corners struggle. Nobody is Sauce Gardner. I hate to give any Jet fans credit or the Jets credit, but it's the truth. He's going to struggle. He's going to get targeted, especially with Adoree Jackson on the other side. But with that, he'll make plays. I'll never forget being at MetLife. The first game Prince Amukamara played as a rookie versus the Eagles and Vince Young.
Big interception.
He comes off the field, and he looks like he's lost on the field and comes up with a pick. Deonte Banks is going to have a couple of those moments this year where you feel like he's lost. He ends up turning it into a turnover. His speed is going to matter. He's going to stick with receivers. You know how many good receivers are in the NFC. So he's going to have his bumps, but I don't think it's going to be a complete where you're like, oh, this is an abomination. And again, what you see in September and October, did we not learn anything from last year? Evolves in November and December. That's why so early in the year it's just about stashing wins in the pocket. So I think we'll get the best of Banks late in the year.
Yeah, I that's something actually I want to go do is look at the last whatever all-pro corners and go look at their rookie seasons and see how they struggle. Because
you think Richard Sherman had an awesome weeks 1 through 4 as a rookie?
Yeah, a lot of the guys really do struggle at that position. And I think Banks has been better as the last few days compared to the first 4 days where he was being picked on.
It took Corey Webster, and he was a second-round pick, but it was their first pick that year.
Oh, he was in Coughlin's doghouse.
2 years before he was a really legitimate corner for the Giants.
Coughlin hated him.
Right.
What did you think of Darren Waller your first time looking at him?
I mean,
you were up close and personal.
Look, I'm just going to tell you.
Run faster than him?
I am a straight married man.
Sure.
I looked at Darren Waller today, and I wanted to make love to him. He is his legs. I am looking at something in a Giant uniform I have not seen in years. And I know that Odell's a different kind of special player, but he is like if you chiseled the ideal throwing threat, tight end, deep threat for this Giant team playmaker into an Under Armour mannequin, it's Darren Waller. And then you just see him versus defenders. And by the way, the defense struggles. Well, you have guys that are throwing the ball. How much different is it when Darren Waller's your go-to guy on corners instead of Darius Slayton, with all due respect? He is... I am in full-blown love. Full-bloom love, as Dave Gettleman would say.
What do you... That was one of the most outrageous lines anybody has ever said on this show. I think that's the first time anybody has ever said that they wanted to make love to somebody on this show.
Look, and by the way, if he stays healthy, we're all going to be wanting to make love to Darren Waller.
We're all going to make love to Darren Waller.
Yes.
What are you expecting out of Daniel Jones this year? It's coming off of a good year, got its contract, got him some weapons, and we're just talking about the offense being good and the weapons, but it's like, man, He's always been a guy who's spread the ball around pretty evenly, and now he has the best roster he's ever had.
And you can see the confidence around the roster too, right? Like all the receivers coming, they look at him as more. I wonder if the contract invigorated the locker room a little bit too. I'm almost getting a sense they look at him as more of the man than they did a year ago. So here's the thing: you want to put yardage on it? Should he be a 4,000-yard passer and throw 30 touchdowns, even though he's never done that? Yeah, that sounds good.
Win games.
Win games, right.
Win games.
Don't turn the ball over. He doesn't have to be a game manager. I don't know that he'll get to 30 or any of that, but we're also discounting the fact that he runs touchdowns in. The team does have Saquon Barkley, so it's about how the offense does it. The team needs to score another touchdown per game, in essence. Now, that doesn't add up to points per game. We know how that works. Find a way to do that, whether it's through passing or if you drive down the field passing and you end up running it in, that's fine. Whatever that total is, I think the team in total needs to score whatever 7 times 17 is more a game, and they will win more games.
And also have more games. I was expecting this at points last year where I knew the offense wasn't going to be perfect last year, but I thought there would be at least maybe 3-ish games where they would be 30-plus points.
How many Talking Giants episodes? Is this the game they're finally going to get 30 points? They should score 30 points 6-7 times minimum this year.
Whoa!
I really believe that. I believe that. If Darren Waller's healthy, and Saquon Barkley now is not having boxes stacked against him, and they have the threat of the deep pass with Jalin Hyatt, I don't think that's outrageous. I really don't.
6-7 times.
Now, I have to look at how many times the Chiefs have done that. Maybe everybody's going to go, they've only done that 4 times, and I'm, can I say asshole? I'm an asshole. Can I say that?
4.
Okay.
4.
4? That's how many times the Chiefs did it last year?
No. That's
the Giants?
That's how many I want.
All right, that's fine.
4.
Put it this way, it can't be.
Saying that's how many times he said asshole.
No,
but it can't be. It can't be. They have none going into Thanksgiving weekend versus the Pats.
No, I don't want to start that trend again.
No.
The Giants haven't scored 30 points since. Blah, blah, blah.
How about drop 30 on Dallas on opening? It won't happen.
Sunday Night Football is kooky. And it's not talked about enough because also Giants fans, we haven't experienced Sunday Night Football since like 2016. But Sunday Night Football is always a kooky game every single week, and it feels like it always comes down to the wire, and it's like a high-scoring game, and we're going to win week 1.
And by the way, I agree. That 30-point thing I'm talking about, that also happens a lot more if the defense is giving up a lot and you're getting into shootouts.
But you know what? It's not illegal to win a game like 33-27.
True. I think we have in 2019. I think we had 4, so that makes sense with that defense.
Yeah.
My next question: call Tiki
right now.
Yeah,
he's driving right now.
Oh, you can drive and call. I didn't say text him.
Are you guys at that point where it's like
I didn't
Shaun
say text him.
Shaun Morash is calling me? This is probably an emergency, or it's like, oh, it's Shaun Morash.
No, we're at that point. I'm not afraid to call. Here's the problem. You're asking him on a very bad weekend. He just drove overnight because his wife made him drive instead of taking a plane to go see his brother get inducted into the Hall of Fame. He left at 9 p.m. So they had a flight scheduled.
Made him drive.
And she was scared the flight they were starting to get, it might be a thunderstorm.
This is Tiki Barber.
And Tiki Barber, a regular man like the rest of us, is basically stopping at Perkins and Cracker Barrel, driving from New Jersey to Canton. So the only reason I don't want to call him right now, he took off of the show. I don't know where he is on this road trip. And if he's gotten there, he was the one driving all night.
But here's the thing is,
he's Tiki Barber.
You're making a long road trip. What's better than a phone call from a friend?
Wow.
That's the time when you get those phone calls in.
I could see you going through your head. You're going through the motion. Oh, wow.
Hold on.
What are we going to ask him? What do we got? Justin, hurry up. What are we going to ask him?
I don't know what I'm going to ask him. How was your brother getting inducted to the Hall of Fame? I'm sure you would like to one day.
Don't throw that. No, don't do that.
I'm not calling. You guys are out. I'm not doing it. That's a sensitive subject.
We could just do record prediction. Tiki Barber record prediction.
I got to save that for our show. Well, I'll give you mine, but Tiki's got to reveal that with us.
I generally meant that. It's like you would like to one day.
You want to talk about road trips?
Look at this really awesome thing. Wish you got that, huh?
To that point, I will tell you this, and it's already in the works. My friend Tommy's out there. He's going to come with. Tiki is serious, and he's mentioned this on the air, and I don't know if you got what you guys have planned. We are, as long as the team's good, going to Philly. Tiki is sitting in the stadium on Christmas Day. Tiki's already told me I'm coming. Tommy's coming. We are going to we're going to do presents with all the kids in the morning. We're getting in the car. We're driving to Philly, and Tiki is going to sit out there like a regular fan dressed in Giant stuff.
I'll drive.
So let's go. And he wants other Giant fans with us, so we can all get tickets. If you want to sit with Tiki Barber, we're going to go to the game.
I'm looking for a reason to get out.
I don't celebrate Christmas, so that'd be a good thing.
Could you imagine walking out of there? We finally beat Philly, and Tiki's having batteries pelted at him with us?
Oh, I will be Tiki's bodyguard for that.
Yeah. That's a time, is it not?
People lost their minds that Giants fan threw snowballs on the field. Yeah. Now, those were rocks, I will say. But they literally threw where did you get all those batteries from?
It's crazy. And they don't like it being brought up.
But. Yeah. Don't
do scummy shit.
Yeah. Philly, anyways. Let's do it.
Record prediction.
What is your 2023 record prediction for the New York Giants?
I don't have one. It doesn't matter. I'm not caring about record.
Oh, no. You can't pull a John Schmelk last year and say, I don't care. You can't do it.
I'm not doing that. I just love that
it's just about growth.
Last year, the best tweet from Talking Giants was,
I don't care.
Should have cared.
Yeah, I think that's when we went 6-1. Like L for Doug and L for this guy. And you know what? L for John Schmelk. Should have cared.
So I was just with Ryan Dunleavy. I was just with Jordan
I think
Renan.
that actually bothered him, too.
It did bother him.
Yeah. Well, both of those guys were negative just now. Not negative. Dunleavy kind of takes pride in the fact that he's had the bad record.
He does talk about that.
This seems very mid and straightforward, but I really think 10-7. I think the team will win one more game than they did last year, which, by the way, they should have won if Feliciano doesn't take a stupid penalty versus Washington.
I disagree. That was Feliciano flexing at his own teammate and the dumbass ref. I don't blame Feliciano.
Regardless, that play cost them a win. It cost them a win. They should win 10 games, and I just said this to Jordan too. I'm so tired of hearing about this schedule. Are the Giants better than the Arizona Cardinals?
Yes.
Are they better than the New England Patriots? Yes. Are they better than Washington and Sam Howell? That's 4 wins. Are they better than the Green Bay Packers?
Yes.
Okay, that's 5 wins. Are they better than the Rams at the end of the year?
Yes.
That's 6 wins. Are they better than the Saints?
Yes.
That's 7 wins.
But here's the thing. You're going to lose maybe – you can lose a game or two to teams you're better than.
So, yes, you can. But I also disagree that now we have the coaching staff where if these are the close games, the games you're supposed to be prepared for, I'm no longer going, which one of these games are they going to blow and have a letdown? We've had so many of those. I don't believe in that in the Dable era. I think they will win at least those 7 games. And now what? I'm asking them to find 3 more wins between 2 Dallas games. I'm not even going to talk about Philly. Seattle, we shouldn't chalk that up as a loss.
Yeah.
So 10-7.
Week 1 versus Dallas to me is so important.
Totally.
Because you have to split with Dallas, and starting off 1-0 with the start of that schedule to me would be so important, because then you have the ability to go 2-0 versus the Cardinals. Because I'm going 10-7 as well.
Oh, come on. That was I'm going to.
But it's all dependent on week 1 versus the Cowboys. You have to beat the Cowboys week 1 at home with this new offense.
I start thinking about 11 wins if we win week 1, I gotta be honest.
Yeah, okay. Now, and I've said this line 5 times already, but like the one thing that worries me about this season is not how the offense looks, or it's we are the 3rd team in our division on paper.
Yeah.
By a good margin. Like the Cowboys made some upgrades this year that, like, Brandon Cooks to me, I think is the most underrated signing of the offseason. Giving Dak that second receiver, I think, is really big for them.
I understand that, and I'm not telling you they stink. I believe the gap between the Giants and Dallas is closer than the Giants and Washington.
I agree.
And I believe despite those additions, Gilmore's getting older. That Cowboy offensive line.
Gilmore doesn't worry me a ton. It's Brandon Cooks.
I get it. And CeeDee Lamb in the slot. You want to talk about matchups? Maybe they're a bad matchup, and Micah Parsons could wreck it.
But the Giants have coaching advantage.
Right. But over the 17-game long haul with Dallas, I think Dallas is going to show a lot more warts than the Giants. I think the Giants are going to finish above Dallas this year. I think Dallas wins like 8-9 games.
Oh, wow.
Can you
That's another take.
Can I tell you what my favorite segment and on the new afternoon drive show is?
Sure. Evan and Tiki, WFAN 2 to 625.
It's your segment.
Cinco de Five-O.
Yes. You did it with Zach Wilson yesterday.
Oh, I was listening to that too. I thought that was
It was
fun.
happy birthday, Zach Wilson, yes.
It was like passive aggressive, but also it's not, because those are like good Zach Wilson moments.
Well, yeah, that's the bit.
Next time you come on, can you prepare that for us?
I'm sure my boss Spike would love if I did a Cinco de Five-O prepared with you guys next time I'm on, for sure.
Is that sarcastic?
So
no, I'm serious. He loves the segment, yes.
It's my
As
favorite
our
segment.
producer, Tommy, shakes his head, yes.
Let's get Tommy in for a record prediction.
Tommy, come here for a record prediction. Come in here. Come here.
Whose mic are we going to get?
You can take mine. Sit right here.
Put your head right here so you can just...
Oh, you'll get in, yeah.
10 wins for the Giants. Let's go Giants.
No ties?
No ties.
No ties.
No ties. The way Tommy shows up to a wedding, no ties.
So I'll be no shot at Tommy, but I was hoping to be like new episode Talking Giants with Shaun Morash and Tiki Barber, but we're going to do it with Tommy Lugo.
Yeah, well, you got to settle. By the way, you sound like a lot of people disappointed when me and Tommy show up somewhere.
Okay, what's been your favorite tweet? Because that's one of my favorite things about talking to radio people is like just the random tweets you get sent at you, like in a break. What's the best one you've gotten? And then we'll end on that.
Well, can I give you a two-parter?
Yeah.
Okay. People go to this well so much, but there is this like jacked swell dude, and I will not give his Twitter handle, that has tweeted at me multiple times, and my boss, you need to fire this fat F. Okay?
Yeah.
Calling me a fat F.
That was my nickname in high school.
This same person last night, and we're taping this on Friday, tweeted at Tommy Lugauer, who had a great tweet with something to the effect of, they've opened a few restaurants.
The Revis tweet, yeah.
They've opened a few restaurants on Revis Island, and this same person tweeted at him, oh, we're stooping to fat shaming now?
That was that guy?
Yes!
Oh, my gosh.
Yes! We're stooping to fat shaming. It's all you've done to me for a week and a half.
I wanted to ask you to end this to yell about something, and you did.
Thank you.
All right. This is Shaun Morash of Tiki and Tierney. Or Tiki and Tierney.
Evan and Tiki. Evan and Tiki.
I've been saying Tiki and Tierney for so long. Evan and Tiki with Shaun Morash.
Take care.
And Tommy Lugauer.
Yes.
All right. Thank you.
All right. Goodbye.
All right. Thank you, Shaun Morash of WFAN. And Patreon listeners, shut your damn mouth. Don't say anything. We're going to Detroit. We are driving the van Monday morning. We'll be there for both joint practices. We'll have an interview from the van in Detroit. We'll have a recap podcast coming out Thursday, plus our live streams afterwards. So there's a couple things I'm looking forward to. One, Kayvon Thibodeau. Yep. I want you to go against Penei Sewell, who I love Penei Sewell. Like, the only tackle prospect that I've liked more than Andrew Thomas in the last, since we started doing this is Penei Sewell. And I think he's on his way to being the best right tackle in the NFL. So I want to see Kayvon versus him. And then the other one that really is like, I want to see Deonte Banks go against their wide receivers, who we haven't seen much out of Banks. And so it's a frustrating thing with a corner where when they're getting picked on, you notice a ton. We haven't seen Deonte, like he's given us some catches here and there, but not get picked on. But I'm not like watching Deonte Banks film in practice. So it's like I can't give you a full evaluation. In Detroit, I am going to be keeping an extra eye on Deonte Banks first there, guys. So those are like the two main things I'm looking forward to out there.
Yeah. I just want to see guys on defense make more plays. Because we're really excited. This is how it works. You're excited about the Giants offense. You're happy when one side of the ball is doing well, but then you want to try and not get too concerned, or you're going to be really worried about the other side of the ball that is not performing well. So I want to see some guys step up on defense and make some plays, whether that's besides Trey Hawkins, Deonte Banks got picked on the list, the first couple days, but it seems like he's settled in nicely. But besides Trey Hawkins, nobody has been really consistently good on defense.
I mean, after Deonte Banks, Adoree Jackson's probably giving up the most catches on defense. McKinney has there's been a lot of times where the highlight plays that we're posting social media clips are against Xavier McKinney. So I want to see those two guys make plays, So I'm not going to be excited about the Detroit Lions offense doing well like I am the Giants offense. With that, I want to see the Giants offense do no doubt. What are you looking for? The Giants offense to do good. But I do want to see how much can we replicate of what we've seen in the last 9 days versus a different defense in Detroit. Also, we've mentioned before the rotation of the offensive line.
Yep.
I think we should get a good view of what they plan to do by these two practices.
Yep. And I'm really looking forward to the matching up with the Lions specifically, since that was one of the only games last year where we got blown out from start to finish, and it was at home. Besides the Eagles game, but home game where we got blown out. What the Lions do offensively clearly did not match with what the Giants were doing defensively last year, especially with what they do with running the ball. I don't know how much running the ball they're going to do, but in team drills, we may see it. We may see misdirection. Well, how will the Giants defense and how will Bobby Okereke and some of our linebackers, how will they deal with that? Clearly, even though the Giants had the most 20-plus yard plays and passing plays all season last year against the Lions, or they tied it, but a lot of that was in garbage time. So the relevant time that the Giants offense tried to be productive, they weren't. So I'm interested to see how the Giants offense matches up with the defense that they couldn't do much against last year. So I like the opponent in Detroit, especially since we did not do well against them last year.
Last thing, and this kind of goes against. I'm a little disappointed we didn't get to see a fight in 9 days of practice at Giants.
We're going to see a fight in Detroit.
And I don't want that, because the joint practices with fights ruin the practices.
Oh.
Unless it's at the end of the second practice. Then they can fucking brawl for all I care. But I don't want to see practices ruined by fights.
Okay.
Which we often see with these joint practices.
Why don't we just have a responsible fight on day one?
You know what we can do? What we could do is Sterling Shepard did with the Cleveland Browns 2 years ago, joint practices.
Just let him go.
Practice is over. He's literally got his shoulder pads off, and they are throwing up their sets and fighting.
Yep. It was crazy time.
Yeah, remember? We had pictures of Sterling Shepard with his setup.
That was people's wallpaper for a little bit.
I still have that on my phone. Who was the corner that it was against? I can't remember.
Amani Oruwariye.
Yeah. So I don't want to see practices get ruined by fights. Now, if a fight happens, am I going to be freaking amped up? Hell
yes.
Yeah. That is the one thing where it's I may just run on the field as if there's a fight. Mm-hmm. Especially if someone starts something with Thomas. I'll go tackle Aiden Hutchinson. I will punch him in the helmet.
Bobby breaks his hand.
Here's another thing. I hate when people who have never been in a football fight talk about why do they punch each other in helmets? You've had to live it. And also, you can hurt someone punching someone that you can have you ever heard
get him in the ear hole?
Do people get concussions wearing helmets?
Evan Neal just did.
I'm telling you, a punch to the helmet, at least especially if you get 2 or 3 in, hurts someone's head.
Punch him in the ear hole. That's what my father always told me to do.
Yeah, ear hold him. So
my father was a big ear hole guy.
So, all right. Anything else, Justin? Before we go, while people are listening to this, we are on the way to Detroit.
Yes, we are. We're gonna go live on, not Periscope. We're gonna go live on Twitter. I'm really glad they fixed that.
Yeah.
I can't wait to. In certain moments, I may even try and do it at the stadium, but away games, that's how I kind of built my small reputation back in the day, is just by going live on Twitter and big moments and just doing stuff. I remember in training camp 2019, it was you would watch.
I literally would listen to them at work.
Wow. I would bring Like look at my profile picture on Twitter, where I'm holding a microphone. That's a $30 karaoke microphone. That sounds really good. I still have it. And I would live stream the entire practice, and I would show and I would commentate over. I didn't just show it and then not talk. I would commentate over and I would interact with people. So that was a lot of fun.
So, all right, we'll see you guys this week in Detroit. Make sure to stick along for everything. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you then. Until then, let's go Big Blue.